Let's talk gold farming. This video is a little delayed because I want to thoroughly test the many options out there and get my actual recommendation. Timestamps are going to be available for this video because I do go into a lot of detail about my rationale, base job choices, phantom job choices, and more than just tell you to throw whatever together and do a circle at the top of this area. I want you to actually farm gold and do it successfully. Why this matters is that the rewards are extremely good for gold, which includes 3 of the phantom jobs, geomancer, samurai, and glamour pieces that you can get and sell for a boatload of gil right now. Like, they are very expensive on the market board, and more importantly, FFXIV, which is used to upgrade your relic armor to +1 and much more. Let me first up explain my rationale for my choices. I do think that any guide should get pushback and explain why it's recommending a particular method, because there are a few out there. First up is, yes, there are solo methods out there that do seem decent, absolutely, but the problem is that you don't get much job experience, and you should absolutely be trying at this point, especially with the content so early on, to knock out all 12 of the phantom jobs for the extra power boost that it gives you. Secondly is that you will be significantly weaker on your own without those mastery levels, as well as without the +1 relic armor, which is a substantial boost to your output, especially when solo grinding for long periods of time. That +1 special attribute is even more phantom job action damage, which is incredibly helpful for long grinds. Thirdly is that gold farming can take quite a while, and it is significantly safer and significantly more brain off for long grinds, and I actually really do absolutely place a high level of value in that, being able to shut my brain off and just grind for a while. I cannot mentally be 100% there, 100% locked in for an extended period of time like that. 4 to 5 hours, fine. Beyond that though, I do fall out of locked in mode. Unless it's very fourth point is that solo methods we currently have a very big problem where if people are already there and doing them, it'll be a lot trickier to actually solo because mob grouping and tagging will be much harder, though you could easily continue to just cycle through instances until you found one. But where people really start gold farming, which is probably going to start up next week in earnest, when more people, the mass of people, start to be like, hey, what's this gold thing, and actually started to look into it, I think it'll be a lot more competitive. And yeah, to put a cap on the fourth point, I do find that the mob spawn rate at the place that I chose is pretty high, so this should last the test of time, ideally. Like, if you aren't knocking things out at a super quick pace, you are actually at risk of them literally spawning on top of you, which is a bad thing. My point being that this can definitely hold a lot of groups. The only major downside for this method would be that it requires a group of others, and especially this early, it can be tricky to get 7 other people who have good mastery levels and using the high-powered phantom job abilities, but if you can get this, this is incredibly effective. I'm gonna go into a lot more detail and actually suss out some of the details later on, but my high-level recommendation is to get a group that sinks to level 20 and go to the southwest corner of the map. My ideal group is basically filled with Cannoneers and then having a thief that spams steal from enemies. Also, samurai is really, really good, but we're going to get into those numbers in a chart much later. I quickly, just in Python, just threw this together using pie charts. Yeah. And hey, if you look at the numbers and you're thinking, oh, Cannoneer isn't that great, Cannoneer is probably the best. I would absolutely run like 2 of them at least, but please absolutely make sure that you have at least 1 thief. In terms of the location, my preference is going to the level 28 zone in a circle right at the top of the structure, especially with the dual Halen enemies. Like, the holy Cannoneer shot just wrecks them, but alternatively there are going to be the mobs lower, which is extremely similar. It's going to be the Crescent Chimera and the Sultanas below them, and it's going to be basically going in a circle, but it does get cut off, so you just loop back at the end. Now let's get into the job recommendations that make this significantly easier. Base job recommendations, not phantom jobs, base jobs here, is going to start with healers first. So first up is barrier healers, especially Sage, helps reduce incoming damage a lot, which helps the tank survive, which is great. Sage can rotate Caracol and Taracol for 10% mitigation at a beautiful rotation. It is fantastic. Their 20% heal amp Crisis is also invaluable. Sage can also split off Haima and Panhaima, which is really significant. Healers, you gotta use your AoE abilities, and single target here really helps. Like, they are just wasted potential. The only cooldown that is truly wasted is the one you don't use. Hell, if you just want to pump Seraphism literally for the heal, that is better than letting Seraphism just sit on your bar. Fucking worthless. It is a great OGCD even just for the regen. But I digress. Actually, more to that point is Scholar is good too, but make sure that you're tossing down soil all the time, just like a Sage should be, always bombing Caracol. Make sure you rotate that. Scholar's also really good because they have Excogitation, and if you use Recitation Excog, it's really, really huge burst of healing. I'd say the one warning would be that on Sage you do have to GCD heal quite a lot if you're doing the healer role in this, so you're going to get fewer cardio procs, so do be aware of that. In terms of other healers, I would say Astrologian single target tank cards actually really shine here from a pure healer perspective. It's really good, and using their collective unconscious for 10% mitigation is great. Again, the only cooldown you're wasting is the ones that you don't use. Just pop it. Extra 10% mitigation, a little hot. Why not? I'd say that the healer that, yes, is more than passable and can work, but has a much harder time because the damage incoming is going to be a lot spikier, is going to be White Mage. It just simply, like I did in my big White Mage versus Ast breakdown, 4 months ago, White Mage simply doesn't have the same kit at all compared to Astro, especially when it comes into single target. White Mage doesn't have as much of that mitigation as any of the other healers. Just quite frankly, Astro, even with his card system, just does leaps and bounds more than a White Mage. Gonna end this by just saying, hey, if you have Macrocosmos and it's off of cooldown, why aren't you using it just to help heal the tank? Like, just throw everything out there. Just kitchen sink everything. Use Panheim. It's an AoE ability, but yeah, it can impact the tank and make your life a little bit easier. If you have Caracal, absolutely spam it. Collective Unconscious, spam it. Tank recommendations, I really found them all plug and play, but the one thing that will wreck your group is a tank that doesn't use their cooldowns. Regardless of what tank, this is the one thing. I really have nothing to say for distinction here. All of them have invulns, so when things get bad, they can do that. I'd say that I did notice what helped was having 2 tanks that rotated between chain pulling will, in a similar vein to like ads phase on M6S. One tank, if you only have one, they will run out of cooldowns, and so that's something to note. Just like M6S, that lack of it, ooh, it hurts. For DPS, I strongly recommend that you look into the highest DPS job that you can possibly get. Reses matter much less here. Black Mage, for instance, shines here, especially after Black Mage's rework. You can literally add all 3 Cannoneer skills to the hotbar and fire them on cooldown. It doesn't impact your rotation whatsoever. It is fucking comical. There is also something to be said about even Summoner, for instance, or Pictomancer, where, hey, the like downtime during their bursts absolutely is something that they can leverage, because, like, say, Summoner's really front loaded. Like, if you have like Bahamut and just slam everything down, it's really front loaded, and so that extra time between the mobs could be helpful. Also, I will say that Summoner is what I went with for Thief, because Thief does require you to be melee range to steal. Most important thing about a base job is take something that really is as much damage as you can take, but enables you to be flexible and fit in as many phantom job actions that are possible, as these should be your #1 priority to keep using above any and other base job action or skill. Phantom jobs actions do not lower the damage because of the level differences, so these are absolutely your #1 top priority to get out under any circumstance. And I mean, I did throw together a cute chart here, which really quickly shows the different spikes of damage that each of the phantom jobs does, which is alright for those who want to visualize it that way, but I do prefer this other chart for the sake of discussion here. I'm going to put a screen with the damage per second breakdowns. Samurai is technically the highest, followed by Berserker. If you can get all 6 hits of Rage off and safely, and probably way better than that if you're tank, because you can actually use that damage thing. I'm going to just show a quick snippet on the screen here, a video clip of me even fighting a level 1 mob, and then you can see that I hit for 200,000 damage on that 30-second skill. I'm 90% sure that Berserker is probably the best in slot for tank. It is crazy, but that's followed by Cannoneer, Oracle, and then way behind is Time Mage, but that doesn't tell the whole story, so let me expand it a bit. Cannoneer's real strength is that it has 3 separate buttons, each doing 210 potency, but these actually have amazing effects that are tied to those, which help the farm out tremendously. Silver Cannon reduces the damage the target does by 10% and increases the damage that the group deals as a whole to 5%, which is obviously fantastic. This is amazing buff, absolutely fantastic. Dart Cannon also applies blind to the target, so Cannoneer's real strength and blind is very helpful. Like we were just talking about healers and how much damage the tanks take, absolutely blind is amazing. So Cannoneer's real strength isn't just the damage it brings, but also the utility through debuffs. I would absolutely run 2. Samurai is an amazing option, as you can see from the numbers. Every 2 minutes, Zenonage does 1,500 potency, which translates to like 500,000 damage in game. It's absurd, but it does need occult coffers. But late game, once you have all the silver that you need, you can buy the occult coffers for silver and avoid the heavy guild price. It also has Tanuki, which is like 40 seconds cooldown, and it does absurd damage with a 10% chance to knock out the target instantly. Hits 400 potency, which is super good on its own. Actually, I misspoke there, so me from editing, 500 potency. Tanuki does 500 potency. Oracle's is actually pretty decent for it, but the trick is that you need to prioritize properly timing Predict to get Starfall, but every 60 seconds you can do a comical 300,000 damage. It's absurd. But Phantom Doom is also really handy, although it's massively RNG and will usually not be that great. Sometimes you can cheese enemies. Their invuln for your tank is also nice to take off some stress from healers, even though it's every 3 minutes. Just make sure that you're on Oracle properly timing your Phantom Rejuvenation and have it line up to heal you back after your Starfall damages yourself, or you're putting even more pressures on healers, which I'm sure that they won't appreciate in a long-term farm. Berserker is actually really good, especially on tanks. Like you can see even in the footage, I'm going to play the clip again, I'm taking just damage from the level 1 Chimera outside of like the camp, and like I just did like 200,000 damage, over 200,000, what the hell, like, and that's on 30-second cooldown. Pretty sure Berserker's best for tank. And then Time Mage, while it's popular, don't see it. Anyhow, get gold farming and let's crash the market board prices on these glamours. Yas. Could you imagine? Let's do it.